What's this? A Spider-Man and Invincible team-up? That sounds too good to be true. But hey, this is the multiverse we're talking about. Literally anything is possible. Could Spider-Man No Way Home feature a live-action appearance by Mark Grayson, aka Invincible? Well, if we're basing it off the comic, it's totally possible. What would these two be like together and what trouble would they get into? Let's get into it right now. The multiverse promises to change everything in the MCU, and Spider-Man is smack dab in the middle of it. Although Doctor Strange's sequel is called The Multiverse of Madness, which through my excellent deduction skills tells me that the multiverse will be involved in some capacity, it's really Tom Holland's Spider-Man No Way Home that will introduce the concept of the multiverse and lay the groundwork for the next stage of the MCU. So much is going on in this movie already. Not only is Spidey dealing with the fact that his secret identity is now out in the open and the whole world knows it, but he's also framed for the murder of Mysterio. Now, come on, this is a universe where that fake video should be disproven in like 2.3 seconds. But this is Spider-Man we're talking about. He has some of the worst luck out of any hero. Life's about to get really hard for Peter, and although plot specifics of the film are a little thin at the moment, we can kind of surmise that Peter's trip through the multiverse is a result of his bad situation in his own universe. So what kind of adventures will Peter get up to through the multiverse? Yeah, sure, everyone's talking about the return of Alfred Molina's Doc Ock and Jamie Foxx's Electro, and of course Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire can't get through any interviews now without being asked if they're reprising their roles. But come on, this is the multiverse we're talking about. It's literally every single universe in existence. Why limit Spidey to just Spider-related characters? Why not truly show how wacky and out there the multiverse could be by introducing a non-Marvel superhero to team up with? Maybe a hero with his own popular comic who's suddenly become insanely popular thanks to his new Amazon TV show? That's right, I'm talking about... What would an Invincible and Spider-Man team-up be like in live action? Well, it would be wild for sure. Spider-Man tends to get a little starstruck when he meets really powerful heroes, and Invincible's incredible power would be enough to fluster Peter. He'd ask so many questions once he finds out that Mark Grayson isn't all human, and suddenly have a lot of inquiries about the Viltrumites and their culture. If the two of them meet right now, I think they actually have a lot to bond over. Both of them got their incredible powers in high school. Both are trying to be their own heroes, and both lost their biggest mentors in life. For Spider-Man, he lost Iron Man, who set an excellent example of great mentorship when he invented time travel to save Peter from being erased, and then sacrificed himself to save the entire galaxy. For Invincible, Mark lost Omni-Man, who did not set an excellent example of great mentorship when he turned out to be not as good as he appeared, as well as in the TV show taking the concept of training Invincible to a whole new level before leaving Earth. So yeah, they both lost their mentors, but the circumstances are a little different. But anyways, could Invincible help Spidey get home or assist him in any of his battles? Honestly, probably not. If there was a way to fit Invincible in Spider-Man No Way Home, it would purely only be the quickest of cameos. But it's at least fun to speculate on. Imagine for a second a full-on team-up with Spidey being flung through the multiverse, meeting Mark Grayson, and then working together to take down a whole horde of both Invincible villains and Spidey villains. I mean, I didn't know I wanted to see Invincible punch Doc Ock in the face until this moment, and right now it's all I can think about.
Seriously?
But although this is unlikely, let's take a look at their actual comic team-up to see what shenanigans they got into. So picture this, there Spidey was, having one of his normal battles with Doc Ock in the comics. You know what I'm talking about. Spider-Man was cracking joke after joke, and old Otto was swearing he would kill the webhead. Classic. But then, out of nowhere, Invincible comes flying out of a portal and crashes into Doc Ock, sending him flying. Invincible is worried that he hurt the supervillain, but hopes that because he has his wacky mechanical arms, that he at least has powers. When Doc Ock retaliates, Invincible responds by just chucking him far away. Spider-Man is obviously a little curious about this new guy. He asks if he's either Nova or Sentry with a costume change, but criticizes the open hair look because it feels a lot like Gambit's thing. Introductions are made, and Invincible can't help but poke fun at Spider-Man's name for how on the nose it actually is. Like, he got bit by a spider and named himself Spider-Man? That's like if when Mark got his superpowers, he named himself Superman. So the two don't necessarily get off on the wrong foot, but it's also not totally the right one. Anyway, Invincible has to explain what the heck he's doing in this dimension, and it's totally wild. You see, Invincible is currently battling a villain known as Angstrom Levy, who, oh man, just wait for the show to introduce him because it's gonna be great. I won't give away a lot about him, but just know he has the power to cross dimensions. Angstrom knows Invincible is powerful, so his plan is to hurl him into a bunch of different dimensions in order to hopefully weaken him. So when Angstrom brings him back to his own world, he's easier to fight. So that's what led to Invincible flying straight into Doc Ock. Now, while Invincible is here, he agrees to help Spidey clean up the Doc Ock mess, so the two go to Avengers Tower to see if they can get a beat on where Doc Ock is. Once there, Invincible meets Aunt May and Mary Jane, who of course Mark calls the super hot redhead. It's here that the best moment in the team-up takes place. Invincible comments on just how lucky and awesome Peter is and tells him he can't picture him as a nerdy teen with glasses or anything. I think this beat shows just how far Spider-Man has come in his life because we all know how things started. After an awkward run-in with the Avengers, Spider-Man and Invincible locate Doc Ock and go to fight him again. This time though, things go pretty quick. Invincible is a pretty powerful guy and almost instantly destroys Doc Ock's metal arms. Spider-Man is so impressed that he wants to go find some of his other standard villains like Electro and Sandman before Invincible has to go, but it's too late. Another portal opens up and Invincible is sucked through. In a really great character moment, Spider-Man actually tries to go through the portal with Invincible in order to help him out, but it closes before he gets the chance. And that's the story of how Spider-Man met Invincible. So going off the comic crossover, it's clear there would be a lot of differences if the two ever did meet now. The comics had Invincible meet Spider-Man as an established hero and an adult, but that's not where Spider-Man is right now. He's almost Mark's age, and that new dynamic of having them be both relatively new to the hero life would make for a fascinating interaction. But let's talk about the elephant in the room. Invincible is an animated show, while Tom Holland's Spider-Man is live action. Now, maybe the multiverse is truly more wild than we thought, and Spider-Man will visit animated worlds along all his other multiverse adventures. But maybe that's a step too far for this movie. But I do have a solution to all this. Maybe Invincible could meet Spider-Man, but just not Peter Parker's Spider-Man. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is one of the best superhero movies in recent years and follows Miles Morales as he deals with his own version of the multiverse, interacting with a bunch of different versions of Spider-Man in different universes. What if, for the upcoming Into the Spider-Verse sequel, we throw in Invincible to the mix? That actually makes a lot of sense. The first movie dealt mainly with different Spider-Men from different universes, so the sequel should branch out and have Miles meet other characters like Invincible. The animation style and the humor go almost hand in hand with each other, and I think there's a lot of value in seeing a Miles Morales-Mark Grayson team-up. We live in a world that's jam-packed with superheroes, but separated by different studios, and sometimes that's a real shame. Hopefully the multiverse concept that's becoming prevalent in superhero movies nowadays will lead to some unique crossovers we'd never get otherwise. Invincible's popularity is only going to keep growing thanks to the rousing success of the first season of the show. And as more and more people discover the hero and his comic, it's only a matter of time before the cries for more crossovers become louder. And a Spider-Man Invincible pairing would be the perfect place to start. If Mark Grayson does show up in live action though, who should play him? Well, there's really only one answer, and that should be his voice actor, Steven Yeun. The man's a huge rising star, so it's only a matter of time before he plays a superhero in live action.